Hi guys, welcome back. Well, the last few videos that I've posted, I've been doing mainly wood turning. And first of all, I made these wood turning chisels out of some old quality files that I had. I annealed them in the heat treating oven, shaped them and then re-hardened them and tempered them. And I've been experimenting with them and they've been working really well. So I can see the attraction of wood turning, it's very enjoyable. Now in the last video that I posted, this is a piece that I turned down out of an old fence post, and it's got me hooked on wood turning. So next up I've got, I think this is classed as a rasp, it's very coarse, quite thin, and this old chisel. So I thought, I think this is about an inch. Yeah, it's just slightly over 1 inch, so I thought that would make a slightly bigger spindle gouge than the one I've already got that I've made. So that's that piece. And then this, I thought I would make it into an extremely thin parting up tool out of that one. So I'm going to put these in the heat treating oven and anneal them and then machine them. This one I'm going to try and straighten that up. I don't know if that's got bent over the years or it started up like that as a lever more than a chisel. But if I anneal them I'll be able to straighten that out and then that would form the tang. The file, I'm going to cut the tang off that, maybe cut a couple of inches off that, and then for the handle I'm going to form a piece of timber either side, so I need to drill 2 holes in through that, so that's the purpose of annealing that one. So I'm going to put these in the oven and let them soak for a few hours. Well, it's now been 14 hours since I turned the heat treating oven off. It got up to 765 degrees and I let it soak at that for 4 hours before I turned it off. Now I'm going to see what temperature it's at the moment. Once I turn the oven off, I let it drop down to about 350 degrees and then I open the vent at the back of the oven. Now, believe it or not, it's still 190 degrees in there. There's a massive amount of insulation in that oven. It takes a long time to get up to temperature, but that's the price you pay for having the controllability of it. But as you can see, it's still 190 degrees in there after 14 hours. Well, I don't believe it, guys. As I said earlier, it's been 14 hours since I turned the oven off. and it's about 7 hours ago since I opened the vent on the rear to let it cool down, and even now, with the welding gloves on, I can only, when I first took them out, I could only hold this bar for about 20 seconds before I had to let go. I just don't believe that. Well, these are the 3 items that I've had in the oven. This is the old big chisel that I thought I'd turn into a 1-inch spindle gouge. This thinner file is going to be the very thin parting tool. And this larger file, it's quite a good thickness to it. I thought that would make a nice wide skew. Now even the smaller thinner files, yeah, you couldn't hold that for more than 20 seconds. Condition wise, they don't seem to be too bad. On the previous annealing that I did in that oven, I wrapped one of the items in some stainless steel foil, and I'm not sure if it made much of a difference or not. This had been galvanised originally. There's quite a lot of oxidisation on that. Maybe that's to do with the galvanising. But the two files don't seem to be too bad, so maybe I've no need to put the stainless foil on them. Now, let's see how soft these have become. Yeah, well, the large file's digging into that one nicely. Yeah, same with that one. I think it's still the glove needed for this bar. Yeah, it's making a flat on that. Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely softened. They don't look very pretty at the moment, do they, guys? They look like they've been in a fire. Well, just to test how soft this file has become, I'm going to try and cut the tang off with the hacksaw. Yep, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do that before. Right guys, a quick update what I'm up to. The large file that's going to be the skew, I've had that on the surface grinder and taken most of the teeth off. The two sides are cleaned up nicely now. So there are still one or two bits of teeth left on, but apart from putting an angle on the end of the skew, I think that's ready for going back in the oven. And once it's hardened and been tempered, I'll give it a final tittle on the surface grinder, which I'm hoping will bring those off, those teeth off. So that's nearly complete. The very thin parting tool, taking all but these last remaining teeth off what's going to be the cutting edge, and it's down now to just over 2.7 millimeters. Now I don't want to take it much thinner than that. There's still one or two evidence of the pile teeth on, but with the length of it, I'm thinking I may cut that back to there. That then would get rid of those teeth and grind this back slightly more. I don't think you need the parting tool too long. So I'm at the stage where I'm starting to think about the handle for it. So I've still got some of my cricket wickets left, and a nice diameter for that to sit into. Got to turn it down a bit more yet. But rather than cutting a tang onto this and letting it into the end, I thought I'd use this slitting saw on the horizontal mill and run that down the centre, and then finish it up with some sandpaper, and that then would let in from the top, and then I can drill 2 holes to put some rivets through. Now I need to do that before this goes back into the oven and hardens. I need to do it while it's still soft and I can drill through this. So that's that one, that's the 2 files. The bar that started life as a chisel or a lever or whatever you want to call it, it's at this stage. It's still just slightly over 1 inch wide, so it's going to be bigger than the first one that I made. Now I need some way of fitting it into the handle. Wasn't very long this to begin with. So I've got this 16mm threaded bar. I've just cut the square end off the bolt of it now with the angle grinder, and I've tapped a 16mm thread into the end of this. So hopefully that'll screw into there. Yeah. If I tighten that up, I may put a couple of wells on there. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to need it or not. But then I'm going to machine 2 flats onto this bar, and then drill a hole in this for the length of it, and then epoxy that into the timber. So before this goes back into the oven, I'm going to machine half of it down with a milling cutter, and then I'm going to run the half round cutter through it again to form the dish, and then I think all 3 of those are ready to go back into the oven. Right guys, I've had it soaking for 3 hours now. We're at 765, so I think we're right to open the oven up and quench them. Right guys, I've had these back in the oven and tempered them for a couple of hours, and condition wise I'm very pleased. Doesn't seem to be any warpage, especially on the very thin one. I thought that after quenching I thought that might warp a bit, but it doesn't seem to have done. Stayed nice and flat. The larger file, there's a bit of residue on it, but I think that's mainly from quenching it in the oil. So that's that one. And the spindle gouge has come out nice. So they're at the stage now where I'm going to put them on the surface grinder, take them down to the finished dimensions, and then I think it's a matter of making some handles for them and grinding the cutting edge and giving them a try. Right guys, I think we're there. This is the ultra thin parting tool that I've made. I've cut a slit down the handle and let that in and put three pins through, and used some epoxy resin to glue it in as well. I've cut the ground the cutting tip on this one, so I think that one's ready to go. Feels nicely balanced. I think the only problem I've got, this tool post that I made for this lathe, I think it might be slightly too high for using this tool. Now it's on its lowest setting at the moment, so I think what I'll have to do, I'll have to, this upright I'm going to cut maybe an inch out of that, so that'll bring that down then to the correct height for using that parting tool. And then use the cut-off part as a spacer when I want to bring it back up to the height for using the other tools. So that's the parting tool. I'm going to try that one in a minute. The wider spindle gouge, this is the original one that I made. It's probably just under half an inch wider now. I've still got to grind the cutting tip on this one, but that's at the stage that that's at. I think it's ready to go once it's been ground, so that's turned out quite well. The large wide file that I was going to make into the skew, I've ground the teeth out. I'm not decided. The other skew that I made, when I can find it. There it is. The other skew that I made, I just put an angle on the end, around about 45 degrees. And I still think this is too long. Now this one I'm trying with the idea of putting a radius on the end. I may decide on that once I've got to know how to use this one. I'll then decide whether to just cut that straight or put a radius on it. So I've chucked some timber up and I'm going to give this parting tool a try. Yes, the tool post is definitely too high for that tool, but even so, it's making a nice clean cut on it. It's not ripping the timber at all. So overall, I'm very pleased with that. So that's, once this one's finished, that will be 6 wood turning chisels from all files. I think that should have me covered for everything that I'm going to do. Well, if you like my videos guys, please subscribe, and thanks for watching. More videos coming very soon.